I should have known something was wrong when my security system started sending unusual alerts at odd hours. My three-car garage attached to my downtown penthouse normally sat quiet except for my weekly car maintenance routine. But for the past month, motion sensors had been triggering between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. I dismissed it initially, probably cats or the occasional homeless person seeking shelter. I was too busy with my tech company's expansion to investigate every minor alert. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was giving my father an emergency access code just in case. Dad had always been the family mechanic, and I'd reasoned he might need to check on my vehicles while I traveled. What I hadn't considered was that he'd share that code with my younger brother Mike. The truth hit me when I returned from a 2-week business trip to Singapore. I pulled up to my garage at midnight, jet-lagged and exhausted, only to find the space transformed into a fully operational auto repair shop. My three collector cars, a 1967 Mustang, a 1970 Chevelle, and a rare 1965 Shelby Cobra, were parked haphazardly outside, exposed to the elements. Inside, where my pristine garage had once stood, was a maze of tool chests, hydraulic lifts, and diagnostic equipment. The air smelled of oil and gasoline. A dozen cars in various states of repair filled every available space. And in the middle of it all stood Mike, wearing a grease-stained uniform with Mike's Elite Auto Services emblazoned across the back. "Welcome home, bro," he grinned, wiping his hands on a rag. "Like what I've done with the place." I stood there trying to process the scene before me. The custom flooring I'd installed, gone, replaced with industrial concrete. The climate control system I'd put in specifically for my classics, dismantled to make room for ventilation fans. The security cameras, redirected to monitor different angles. "Mike," I said slowly, maintaining my composure through years of business negotiation practice. "What is this? Your garage was just sitting here, mostly empty," he shrugged. "Dad said you wouldn't mind if I used it for my new business venture. We're already turning a profit." Yeah, Dad's helping out with the complicated jobs. You know how he is with engines. Pure magic. We've got some high-end clients too. Wait till you see." "Stop," I held up my hand. "Where are my tools?" "Oh, those fancy European ones. We had to sell them to buy some proper American equipment. But don't worry, these are much better for actual work. My $50,000 collection of precision German tools, sold without my permission." I felt a headache building behind my eyes. "And my diagnostic computer, that overpriced thing. Traded it for two real diagnostic machines. These can handle domestic cars too, not just those foreign." "Mike," I interrupted again. "Did it occur to you that this is illegal?" He laughed. "Come on, we're family. Besides," Dad said, "Dad doesn't own this building." "I do. You're operating an unauthorized business in a residential zone, without permits, without insurance, without permission." "We've got insurance." Dad added it to his policy. I pulled out my phone and opened my calendar. "You have exactly 48 hours to remove everything and restore my garage to its original condition." "You can't do that," Mike protested. "We have clients booked for weeks, important clients, rich guys with expensive cars. We're finally making real money." As if on cue, a car pulled up outside, a pristine Rolls-Royce Ghost. The driver's door opened, and out stepped William Anderson III, CEO of Anderson Global Investments and my company's largest investor. "Mike," he called out cheerfully, then stopped short when he saw me. "James, what are you doing here?" "This is my garage, William. My private residence." William's friendly expression shifted to concern. "Your garage." Mike told me this was his certified luxury auto shop. Said he had all the proper permits and insurance. Mike stepped forward, still trying to salvage the situation. "Mr. Anderson, I can explain." "James," William cut him off. "Is this business properly licensed and insured?" "No," I replied truthfully. "And it's operating illegally in a residential zone." William's face hardened. "Mike, remove my car from your queue immediately. I'll have it towed to an authorized dealer." "But sir, the work's already." "Immediately," William repeated, then turned to me. "James, I trust this situation will be resolved before our board meeting next week." "It will be resolved within 48 hours. Because unauthorized business operations could affect your company's compliance certifications, which would affect our investment agreement." After William left, Mike stood there, deflated. James, please, this business is my chance to be successful like you, to make something of myself. By stealing my property, by lying to clients, by putting my entire company at risk. Dad said. Stop telling me what Dad said. My composure finally broke. Dad doesn't own this building. Dad doesn't run my company. And Dad certainly doesn't have the right to give away my property. I pulled out my phone again and dialed Marcus, my head of security. Sir, he answered immediately. Change all access codes to my properties immediately. Revoke all emergency access. Then send a team to my garage. I want 24-hour surveillance until everything is removed. Yes, sir, and if anyone attempts to enter, call the police. No exceptions. Mike's face reddened. You'd have your own brother arrested. You committed multiple crimes, Mike. Operating an illegal business. Selling property that wasn't yours. Fraud against your clients. The only reason I'm giving you 48 hours is because we share DNA. The clients will sue if we close suddenly. They'll sue anyway when they find out you're not licensed or properly insured. Better they find out now than after something goes wrong with their vehicles. My phone buzzed. Dad calling. I declined it. You have 47 hours and 52 minutes. I told Mike. I suggest you start making calls. I turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and Mike. If my classic cars have so much as a scratch from being left outside, you'll be paying for the restoration. With real money, not family favors. I spent the night in a hotel, watching through my security app as Mike and Dad worked frantically to contact clients and move equipment. Around 3 a.m., I received a series of texts from various family members. Mom, how could you do this to your brother? Family helps family. Sister Mike's crying. Hope you're happy with yourself. Aunt Susan, your grandfather would be ashamed. Dad, son, we need to talk about this. You're overreacting. I ignored them all and opened my laptop to draft emails. To my company's legal team, requesting a full audit of potential liability exposure to William Anderson III, assuring him of swift resolution to my insurance company, asking about coverage for unauthorized business operations to a contractor, requesting quotes for garage restoration around dawn. Another text came through, this one from Mike. Found out the hard way that Dad's insurance policy doesn't cover commercial operations. What do I do about the client cars? I replied with one word. Truth. Then I called Marcus. How's it going? They're moving everything out, sir. But there's damage to the structure. They installed equipment without proper supports. Document everything. Photos, videos, structural engineers report. Yes, sir, and your father is demanding entry. Says he needs to explain. Standard protocol. No access without my explicit authorization. I ended the call and walked to my hotel window, watching the sun rise over the city. In the distance I could see my building, my property that my family had once again tried to claim as their own. My phone buzzed with an email from William Anderson III. James, disturbing situation with your garage. Brings up concerns about other potential unauthorized use of your assets. Full audit recommended, before board meeting. We A3. I sighed, and began typing a response. But another text from Mike interrupted. Rolex guy threatening to sue. Says unauthorized repairs voided his warranty. Help. Then Dad, these clients are too important to handle this way. Let me talk to them. I can smooth this over. Finally, Mom, your brother's dreams are crushed because of your selfishness. At least help him with the legal issues. I turned off my phone and opened my laptop again, this time to search for something I should have done years ago. Family business therapists. The next 24 hours were a symphony of chaos. 3 clients threatened lawsuits. Dad tried to break in twice. Mom showed up at my office crying. Mike's girlfriend started a social media campaign about family betrayal. The city inspector arrived to investigate anonymous complaints about illegal business operations. I handled each crisis systematically, referred angry clients to my legal team, had Dad escorted off the property, had security remove Mom from the building, had the social media posts documented for potential legal action, cooperated fully with the city inspector. By hour 36, reality had finally set in for Mike. He sent a single text. I screwed up. Bad. I replied, yes. Now what are you going to do about it? Tell the truth, pay for damages, actually learn how to run a legitimate business. Progress. I called him, our first direct conversation since the confrontation. The contractor estimates $175,000 to restore the garage, I said when he answered. The structural damage is worse than expected. I don't have that kind of money. I know. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to write a formal apology to every client, taking full responsibility. You're going to work with my legal team to resolve any warranty issues. You're going to take business ethics and management courses at the community college. And then, if you complete all that, we'll discuss a proper business plan with permits, insurance, and a legitimate location. Why would you help me after this? Because you finally admitted you were wrong. That's step one. The line was quiet for a moment. Dad's pretty angry with you. Dad's angry because I exposed his role in this. He gave you that access code, encouraged this scheme, promised support he couldn't actually provide. He needs to take responsibility too. Mom needs to stop enabling both of you, which is why I've arranged family business therapy. First session is mandatory, if you want my help with this mess. Another pause. Okay, I'll do it. All of it. And James, I'm sorry. Really sorry. I know. Now prove it. You have 12 hours left to clear out completely. After hanging up, I called Marcus. How's it looking? Last of the equipment's going out now. We've documented everything. And sir, you should know, your father was recording all the work they did here, posting videos online about Mike's Elite Auto Services and their high-end clientele. Of course he was. More evidence of fraud. I opened my laptop one final time, creating 3 folders. Legal consequences, lawsuits, warranties, permits, financial consequences, damages, restoration, compensation, family consequences, therapy, boundaries, trust rebuilding. Then I booked a flight to Germany. My stolen tools needed replacing, and I knew just the craftsman to visit. My phone buzzed with a text from William Anderson III. Hearing good things about your handling of the situation. Firm boundaries with family. Impressive. Board meeting should go well. I looked out at my building again. The garage doors were finally closed. The unauthorized business dismantled. My classic cars would need work after their outdoor exposure, but they'd survive. The question was, would my family relationships survive what came next? 1 month after shutting down Mike's illegal auto shop, I sat in Dr. Victoria Palmer's office, surrounded by my family. The prestigious family business therapist had rearranged her schedule to take our case, calling it a textbook example of boundary violations in wealth dynamics. Mom sat rigid in her chair, still wearing the Chanel suit she used for important occasions. Dad slouched beside her, his usual mechanic's confidence deflated. Mike occupied the farthest seat, looking uncomfortable in business casual attire, part of his new image transformation. My sister Lisa had insisted on attending, though she hadn't been directly involved in the garage incident. Let's begin with the financial assessment, Dr. Palmer said, opening a thick folder. In the past month, we've documented $342,000 in total damages and liabilities. Mom gasped. Dad straightened up. Breaking that down, Dr. Palmer continued. We have $175,000 in structural damages to the garage, $50,000 in stolen tools, $47,000 in unauthorized equipment installation, $45,000 in potential warranty liability claims, and $25,000 in legal fees to resolve client complaints. James doesn't need to spend that much on fancy tools, Dad muttered. Those fancy tools were my property, I replied calmly. Your opinion of them is irrelevant. The tools represent more than their monetary value, Dr. Palmer interjected. They symbolize Mr. Anderson's autonomy and professional standards. Their unauthorized sale shows a fundamental disrespect for both. We were trying to help Mike succeed. Mom protested, by stealing from one son to benefit another. Dr. Palmer raised an eyebrow. How does that demonstrate good parenting? Lisa shifted in her chair. Maybe if James hadn't been so secretive about his success, Stop, I cut in. My success isn't secretive. I built my company openly, legally, ethically. What's secretive is how my garage became an illegal chop shop without my knowledge. It wasn't a chop shop. Dad's face reddened. We were doing quality work, without licenses, permits, or proper insurance. I countered. Using stolen tools and unauthorized space. Lying to high-end clients about certifications. That's fraud, Dad. You taught me better than that. Or at least you used to. Dr. Palmer made a note. Mr. Anderson Sr., why did you give Mike the access code to James's property? Dad shifted uncomfortably. The boy needed a chance. James has 3 cars and barely drives them. That garage was sitting empty. It wasn't empty, I interrupted. It was private property, properly maintained for its intended purpose. You had no right to give away what wasn't yours. Family shares, Mom insisted. Family asks, Dr. Palmer corrected. Family respects boundaries. Family doesn't steal and lie. Mike spoke for the first time. I've started the business ethics course at the community college. The professor said what we did could be considered criminal enterprise. Don't be dramatic. Lisa scoffed. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone. I have the city prosecutor's preliminary opinion right here. Would you like me to read it? That won't be necessary, Dr. Palmer intervened. Let's discuss the restoration plan James has proposed. I opened my briefcase and distributed folders to each family member. The plan has 3 components, I explained. Financial, professional, and personal. More like dictatorial, Mom muttered. Mrs. Anderson, Dr. Palmer said sharply, your son is offering a path forward instead of pressing charges. I suggest you listen. I opened my folder. Financial component first. Mike will repay the damages through a structured payment plan, starting with his new job at the authorized dealership. Manual labor, Lisa sneered. How humiliating. Actually, Mike countered. I'm learning proper business operations, customer service, warranty procedures, legitimate certifications, things I should have known before stealing James's garage. Dr. Palmer nodded approvingly. Recognition of wrongdoing is crucial for recovery. Continue, James. The professional component involves education. Mike's enrolled in business courses. Dad needs to complete a modern automotive certification program. His knowledge is outdated for today's computerized vehicles. I've been working on cars for 40 years, Dad protested. And cars have changed, I replied. That Rolls-Royce you tried to service. Its computer system requires specialized certification. Without it, you could have caused hundreds of thousands in damage. The personal component, I continued, before he could argue, involves ongoing therapy, individual and group sessions, non-negotiable. Or what? Lisa challenged. Or I press charges, and everyone involved faces criminal prosecution. The room fell silent. That's blackmail, Mom whispered. No, Dr. Palmer interjected. That's consequences. Natural legal consequences for criminal actions that James is offering to help resolve privately. My phone buzzed. A text from William Anderson III. Board reviewed your handling of the garage situation. Unanimous approval. Promotion discussion next week. Here's what's going to happen, I said, putting my phone away. Mike will continue his education and legitimate job. Dad will update his certifications. Both will attend therapy. Mom will stop enabling illegal behavior. Lisa will stop undermining the recovery process. And you? Lisa demanded. What do you have to do? I'm funding everything. The education, the therapy, the legal resolution. And I'm giving Mike a second chance he legally doesn't deserve. James has set clear, fair boundaries, Dr. Palmer noted. The question is, will you respect them this time? Mike leaned forward. I will. The dealership manager said I have potential, if I do things right this time. The certification program. Dad hesitated. It's computerized, fully digital, I confirmed. But I've arranged for private tutoring to help you adapt. Mom dabbed her eyes. I just wanted the family to share success. Success isn't shared, Mom. It's earned. I softened my tone. I'll help Mike earn his own success.
Yeah.
Legally this time. Dr. Palmer closed her folder. Let's establish weekly milestones. Mike, you'll continue your business ethics course and dealership training. Mr. Anderson Sr., your certification classes start Monday. Mrs. Anderson, I'm prescribing individual sessions to address enabling behaviors. Lisa, your participation in family sessions is required for continued access to James's support. Access to his money. You mean, Lisa muttered. No, Dr. Palmer corrected. Access to his trust, which you've all damaged significantly. My phone buzzed again. The contractor updating me on the garage restoration. The structural repairs were proving more extensive than initially estimated. One last thing, I said, pulling out a final document. I've created a family business trust. If everyone completes their required programs successfully, the trust will fund a legitimate auto restoration business, properly licensed, fully insured, in an appropriate commercial location. Mike's eyes widened. Really, with conditions? I specified. Professional certification requirements, regular audits, a proper board of directors, no shortcuts, no favors, no lies. Could I earn a place on that board? Dad asked quietly, after completing certification and therapy. Yes, but you'll have to apply like anyone else. Dr. Palmer smiled slightly. This is an excellent example of rebuilding trust through structured opportunity. However, it requires absolute commitment from everyone. Mom straightened her Chanel jacket. Weekly sessions seem excessive, are less frequent than jail visits would be, I pointed out. The room fell silent again. I'm in, Mike said finally. Completely in. No shortcuts this time. Dad nodded slowly. Those certification courses, they'll teach me about the computer systems, everything you need to work on modern luxury vehicles, properly and legally. Then I'm in too. Mom looked around the room, then at her designer purse, purchased with the money she'd saved living in my properties. I try the therapy. Not try, Dr. Palmer corrected. Commit, I commit, Mom whispered. Lisa stood up. This is ridiculous. James isn't God. He can't control everyone just because he has money. No, I agreed. But I can control access to my properties, my resources, and my trust. Your choice whether to participate in rebuilding that trust. She sat down, scowling but silent. Excellent, Dr. Palmer said. Let's schedule next week's sessions. Individual appointments first, then group work. As my family filed out, making appointments with Dr. Palmer's assistant, I stayed behind. They'll test these boundaries, Dr. Palmer warned. I know that's why the trust has independent oversight. No access without compliance. And if they fail, then the garage incident becomes their last chance, not their second one. She nodded approvingly. You're handling this well. Many wealthy individuals struggle to establish boundaries with family. I learned the hard way. The garage was just the latest example. And the new business venture, are you sure about that? I smiled slightly. The trust will own 51%. I'm not funding another family free-for-all. Good. See you next week then. Family dynamics at 2. Individual at 4. I left her office and headed to my newly restored garage. The space was pristine again. My replacement tools arranged perfectly. My classic cars back in their climate-controlled sanctuary. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Mike. Started the business ethics homework. Never knew there were so many laws about auto repair. Thank you for the second chance. I looked at my restored garage, then at Mike's message. Sometimes the most expensive lessons are the ones family has to learn. And sometimes the hardest part of success is teaching your family they can't steal it. They have to earn it themselves. 3 months into our family's rehabilitation program, as Dr. Palmer called it, I sat in my office reviewing the progress reports. The manila folder on my desk contained a mix of surprising successes and predictable setbacks. Mike's business ethics course, a unexpected dad's certification, progress 85%. Complete promising mom's therapy attendance, 60%. Problematic Lisa's compliance, 25%. Unsurprising, the legitimate auto restoration business plan was taking shape, but family dynamics remained complex. My phone buzzed with today's first family crisis. James, the dealership wants me to work Saturday. but Dad scheduled a certification exam review. Mom's crying about divided loyalties. Help, Mike. Before I could respond, another message arrived. Your brother needs to focus on his certifications. The dealership is exploiting him. Mom, I rubbed my temples and dialed Dr. Palmer's number. Let me guess, she answered. The Saturday schedule conflict. How did you? Your mother called me 5 times this morning. This is actually a good test case for our new boundaries. I leaned back in my chair. Mike needs to make his own decision. Exactly. Have you seen his latest business proposal? I glanced at another folder on my desk. Mike's detailed plan for the legitimate auto restoration business. It was surprisingly thorough, showing actual research and financial planning. He's taking it seriously, I admitted. Success often comes from letting people solve their own problems, Dr. Palmer said. Let's see how he handles this. My phone buzzed again. Mike had made a decision. Opening the dealership shift, rescheduled certification review for Sunday. My choice. My responsibility. I showed the message to our latest visitor, William Anderson III, who had taken an interest in our family's transformation. Impressive. William nodded. Very different from the young man who tried to convince me his illegal garage operation was legitimate. The business ethics course opened his eyes, I explained. Especially the section on liability and client trust. Speaking of trust, William leaned forward. The board is watching this situation closely. Your handling of it could affect future leadership decisions. I understood his meaning. Anderson Global Investments had been considering me for a board position. My family's garage scheme had nearly derailed that opportunity. The trust structure for the new business is ironclad, I assured him. No family member gets access without meeting all requirements, including your father. He was quite influential in the garage incident. Before I could respond, my security chief Marcus appeared at the door. Sir, your father's here. He's asking about the new business location. I checked my watch. Dad wasn't scheduled for another hour. Send him up. William, would you like to stay? See our new protocols in action. William smiled slightly. I would indeed. Dad entered my office, still wearing his student ID from the certification program. He stopped short when he saw William. Mr. Anderson, I wanted to apologize about the garage situation. Actions speak louder than words. William replied coolly. How's the certification program? Dad straightened up. Actually, that's why I'm early. I passed the Advanced Diagnostic Systems module. First time. He pulled out his tablet, a device he'd resisted learning for years, and pulled up his test results. I reviewed the scores. 85% on computerized engine management, 90% on digital diagnostic protocols. Dad, this is excellent. The young instructor, Dad said hesitantly. She suggested I might have a talent for teaching these systems to other old-school mechanics. Maybe that could be part of the new business. William raised an eyebrow. Teaching requires certification, additional licenses. I know, Dad replied. I've researched the requirements, made a list of the courses I'd need. I shared a look with William.
Oh,
This was new. Dad taking initiative, following proper procedures. My phone buzzed again. Mom skipped therapy. Says she doesn't need it anymore. Doctor Palmer wants to know if there are consequences in place. Lisa. And there it was. The other side of our family transformation. Dad, I said, we need to discuss Mom's therapy compliance. His face fell slightly. She's struggling with the changes. The trust agreement requires full participation. I reminded him. No exceptions. I know, but she doesn't understand why she needs therapy when she didn't do anything wrong. William stood up. Perhaps I can offer perspective. My mother faced similar challenges when we professionalized our family business. Dad looked surprised. Even I hadn't known this about William's family history. How did she adapt? Dad asked. When she realized non-compliance meant no involvement in the business, her attitude changed. William gathered his coat. Sometimes love means enforcing consequences, Mr. Anderson. After William left, Dad sat heavily in a chair. James, about the new business location, I've been thinking, maybe we should start smaller than we planned. I pulled up the property proposals on my screen. Explain. The warehouse you showed us. It's amazing. But maybe too amazing. Too much like Like my garage. I finished. Too tempting to take shortcuts. He nodded. Mike's learning real business practices. I'm learning new technologies. Maybe we need to learn humility too. My phone buzzed yet again. Dealership manager offered me team lead position. Small raise, more responsibility.
Oh,
Would this affect the family business plan? Mike, I showed Dad the message. What do you think? I asked. I think he should take it. Learn more. Do it right this time. I studied my father, the man who'd once given away my property without permission, now advocating for patience and proper procedure. The small warehouse on Burton Street, I said, pulling up its details. It needs work, but it's properly zoned. Room to grow if we earn it. Dad noted. You still say we are after what we did. The trust owns 51%. I reminded him. My involvement is non-negotiable. Good, he said quietly. We need those boundaries. My phone lit up with a calendar alert. Dr. Palmer's group session in an hour. Dad, about Mom's therapy. I'll handle it, he said firmly. She needs to understand. This isn't about punishment. It's about learning to respect boundaries. After he left, I called Dr. Palmer to update her. Your father's progress is remarkable, she said. Your mother's resistance is concerning. The trust agreement is clear, I replied. No compliance, no involvement. And Lisa, I sighed, still attending sessions but not engaging, treating it like a transaction. Because for her it is. She wants access to your resources without doing the work. Like the garage incident. Exactly. Some family members will adapt to new boundaries, others will keep testing them. I looked at my restored garage through the office window. The space that had sparked our family's crisis now stood as a symbol of our transformation, for better or worse. My phone buzzed one final time. Made my decision. Taking the team lead position. Learning everything I can. Building something real this time. Thank you, brother. Mike. I smiled slightly. Sometimes the best success stories start with failure, as long as you learn from it. Dr. Palmer, I said into the phone. Let's add a business ethics module to tomorrow's family session. Testing their progress. No, I replied, watching Dad's car pull away from my building. Reinforcing it. The garage was their last chance to take shortcuts. This new business is their opportunity to do things right. And if they don't, then they'll learn that sometimes love means saying no, especially when saying yes would enable their worst instincts. After hanging up, I returned to the progress reports. The path forward was clear. Success had to be earned, trust had to be rebuilt, and boundaries had to be maintained. The garage incident had nearly cost me everything. Its lessons would ensure that never happened again. 6 months after the garage incident, I stood outside the newly renovated warehouse on Burton Street. The sign above read, Anderson and Sons Certified Auto Restoration. Smaller than Mike's original illegal venture, but legitimate in every way. The grand opening would start in an hour. My phone buzzed with updates. Final inspection passed. All permits verified. Marcus client list confirmed, including William Anderson III. Mike teaching certification received this morning. Starting classes next week. Dad, missed therapy again. Your mother is difficult. Palmer, some things had changed. Others remained challenging. Mike approached, wearing a pressed uniform with proper certifications displayed. The diagnostic equipment's calibrated. Dad, triple-checked everything. And the insurance, full coverage, properly underwritten. No shortcuts this time. He paused. Lisa's not coming. I nodded, unsurprised. My sister had abandoned the therapy program last month, forfeiting her stake in the family business. Mom, I asked. She's here, still not happy about the therapy requirements. But he gestured toward the entrance. Our mother stood there, noticeably different. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by business casual attire. Dr. Palmer called it progress and authenticity. James, she said stiffly. The ceremony setup is ready. Thank you, Mom. And the compliance report? She handed me a folder. Her therapy attendance for the past month, 90%. Finally, Dad emerged from the teaching bay, where he'd set up a modern diagnostic training center. His certification certificates lined the wall, each one earned properly this time. First class starts Monday. he announced proudly. 8 students already enrolled. William Anderson III's car pulled up, right on time. He surveyed the legitimate operation with approval. Very different from the garage situation, he noted. Proper permits displayed, real certifications, actual insurance, and real consequences for non-compliance, I added, thinking of Lisa's absence. The guests began arriving. Potential clients, industry professionals, even some of the angry customers from the garage incident, now willing to trust the legitimate business. Mike stepped up to give his opening speech. I watched my brother, no longer the shortcut taker, but a certified professional who'd earned his position. 6 months ago, I made a terrible mistake, he began honestly. I tried to steal success instead of earning it. Today, we're doing things right. As he spoke, I checked the security feeds on my phone. The garage that had started everything was now a proper private car storage facility. No unauthorized access, no family emergencies. Dad joined Mike at the podium to announce the teaching program. Their certifications caught the light. Father and son, finally doing things legitimately. My phone buzzed one last time. Family session at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Discussing Lisa's departure and moving forward. Dr. Palmer, I looked around at our new venture. The trust owned 51%, ensuring proper oversight. Every family member had earned their position. Every certification was real. Success, it turned out, couldn't be stolen. It had to be built, one legitimate step at a time. Mom approached as the ceremony ended. I understand now, she said quietly, why the therapy was necessary. Why you couldn't just give us. Because given success isn't real success, I replied. No, she agreed. Real success is earned. Like this. The grand opening continued into the evening. William Anderson III signed up as our first official client. Dad's teaching program gained 3 more students. Mike's certification wall grew with one final addition, his business ethics course completion certificate. As the crowd thinned, I stood with my family in our legitimate business. No shortcuts, no stolen spaces, no fake credentials, just earned success, maintained boundaries, and real pride in doing things right. Thank you, Mike said suddenly, for not pressing charges, for giving us a chance to earn this. Dad nodded, for teaching us the right way, the hard way, for making us earn it. Mom added, even when we fought you. I looked at our family business, smaller than the garage operation, but built on a solid foundation. Just remember, I said, the trust is watching. One violation, no violations. Mike interrupted. We learned that lesson. And standing there, watching clients book legitimate appointments, and students sign up for proper certification courses, I finally believed him. The garage incident had nearly cost us everything, but it had taught us something invaluable. Real success can't be stolen, given or borrowed. It has to be earned, one honest step at a time. End of story.